Alright guys, since GMs are coming out very soon and we already have our master raids out, I want to go over an in-game build that any character can run. I am going to show it on my Warlock, but it's evolved all around the Aeon Gauntlets. Alright, so just jump right into it. I know a lot of people already know how the Aeon Gauntlets work, but if you don't, just as a quick reminder, you have 3 basically exotic perks you can select. Don't even worry about the other 2. If you're doing in-game content, you want Sect of Insight. So this is going to make it whenever you finish a bigger target, things like champions or even like bosses, if you can finish them, this is going to generate heavy ammo for your team. But then you can also finish things like elites, and you also generate special ammo for your team, which is really cool. The main thing is that heavy ammo generation when you finish champions. Now it does have another benefit, so successive precision weapon takedowns have a chance to drop an orb of power. This is also pretty good for just making orbs of power for your allies. But the main thing is that bottom perk, like I said, you can generate heavy ammo everywhere. Now obviously the reason this is good is because everybody's going to have ammo for DPS scenarios, or if you need to take out higher health targets at a consistent base. Anywhere in the game is obviously going to be extremely nice if you have infinite heavy ammo, specifically in things like the master raid where you could just spam heavy and not even have to worry about much that's going on, and you always have ammo for whatever DPS scenario you're going into. It's such a nice benefit, and it almost seems like it's mandatory at this point to at least have 1, 2, or maybe even 3 players run this on your team if you are doing harder in-game content. In GMs it doesn't matter as much. I will think it'll matter a little bit more this season since there is a modifier that gives you more heavy for machine guns but less for others. If you have Aeons, you can just always generate ammo for whatever heavy you're using, which is going to be really nice. Now a little bit more on the way these work. This is actually only going to spawn the ammo for your teammates. You will not get heavy, so it is very beneficial to always have at least 2 players, like I said, maybe even 3 run them. If you take War Priest for example, you obviously are split up into teams of 3, and then 1 player on each of those teams can have them, and you're always going to have heavy ammo for the entire round, which is really good. So I hope I explained that well enough. If you have any questions, just be sure to leave a comment down below and I will try to answer as soon as possible. But let's get into the actual build I like to run with this. I do think Aeon Souls do work well with Warlocks because the main thing you're using for Warlock is well the Radiant. You could argue taking something like Lunafaction Boots is a better exotic choice or better DPS, but most of the time we're using linear fusions with things like triple tap, 4 times the charm, so you never have to reload the gun that much anyway. Things like Lunafactions aren't as good as they used to be, so having your Warlock just run Aeon Soul and have well equipped is just going to be a super great supportive role for you in any raid scenario. But like I said, you can obviously run these on Hunter and Titan, but I do think things like, Thunder Crashes or Storm Grenades on Titans, or even things like the new Hunter Super or Tether on Hunter, pairing those with those specific exotics are going to be a little bit better, and I would recommend those characters run their exotics when Warlocks can run Aeon Souls. But also, Starfire Protocol on the Warlock is extremely good if you want to run that too and have your other teammate run the Aeon Souls. Now, since this is the supportish based role, this is heavily going to be focused on making a support build. I do like to run Icarus Dash just to get around the map faster. You can for sure take Heat Rods if you want to, but I'm so used to running Icarus Dash at this point, I just cannot take it off. And I'm also running Touch of Flame, so it buffs all my grenades. Touch of Flame specifically is going to buff the healing grenade by letting you have ×2 restoration and giving you more cure. So this is extremely good for survivability. You can throw it on yourself, you can throw it on your teammates. It is very strong, and it makes you extremely tanky, especially in in-game scenarios. I do run Celestial Fire just because it does have a longer range melee and it's easier to hit, which will help with some of our fragments, and Healing Rift, so I can throw a Healing Rift down at all times and I can constantly just get my health back. Now obviously I'm running Well of Radiance, but I'm also going to be running the fragments Ember of Singeing, so my class ability is going to recharge faster on scorched targets. We're going to be scorching targets 24/7 with some of our weapons, so we're always going to be getting our Rift back extremely fast. I'm also going to be running Ember of Empyrean, so whenever I defeat enemies with my solar weapon or abilities, I will extend the duration of Restoration and Radiant. So this means whenever I get Restoration now, and eventually when I proc Radiant and our fragments, I can constantly have Restoration and Radiant up 24/7 because I'm going to be using a solar weapon. Now I'm also going to be running Ember of Torches, so my power melee attacks grants you and your allies Radiant. So this is going to be really good. Again, throwing Celestial Fire out enemies that are far away, you're going to be proccing Radiant. You can have it up forever with Ember of Empyrean. Then Ember of Searing, so defeating scorched targets grants melee energy. Since I'm not running Heat Rods, I do like to run Ember of Searing because this is going to let me get a little bit more melee energy back, since I'm always going to be scorching targets 24/7. So when I'm killing enemies that are scorched, I'm essentially getting melee energy and roofed energy, and I'm always going to have Restoration and Radiant up 24/7, which is really nice. Now the thing that pairs well with this build is the BXR55 Battler. It's very good. This has champion mods this season as well, because you can take this in in-game content. But this weapon with Demolitionist and Incandescent is extremely strong. Not only is Incandescent just a great perk for obviously doing damage in large areas, Demo is going to get your grenade back, so you can throw healing grenades everywhere. But if we actually just look back at the subclass, since Incandescent is going to be spreading Scorch every time you get a kill, you're also going to be proccing Ember of Singeing and also Ember of Searing. So You're kind of having wellspring on the gun because you have incandescent, because now you're going to get melee, rift, and grenade cooldown on top of incandescent actually just doing a good amount of damage as well. So this weapon is extremely strong. You can obviously change this out to whatever weapons you need to, depending on whatever scenario you're in for elements and champion base. But specifically for elements, I do also like to run Arbalest because this kind of negates whatever shields that are in the game. You can just shoot this and it's going to take it out. It's also just a very, very good special weapon for doing a lot of damage. Then for heavies, Linear Fusions are the way to go. I like running the Taipan. It's just the most consistent. You don't really have to worry about proccing anything. You just get in the well, start shooting, and it's really, really nice. Hey, Futurist here. While I was editing this, I actually forgot to mention my stats in the build. If you didn't already know, taking 100 resilience is definitely the way to go. You get 40% damage reduction, and you're going to have healing 24/7 with your rift and grenade. And speaking of grenade, I do like to take 100 discipline so I can have my healing grenade up as much as possible, not only for you and your teammates. And if you could get 100 in recovery, I would go with that as well. But as you see with this armor, I have 60 and then 70 in strength. So this is all around just going to make my abilities come back extremely quick and just let me support my teammates extremely well. But now for mods of this build, you can kind of run whatever you want to. You can run, you know, a lot of Phantomites with the elemental tom dilation if you want to just get a lot of damage. But I like to specifically play into the damage reduction and finishing aspect of the build, since the main thing is I'm trying to support my teammates by giving them ammo, by giving them a bunch of healing, by giving them radiant, anything like that. And that is what I'm doing with these mods. Now, the first mod I want to go over is actually Reactive Pulse. And this is going to make it when I'm charged light, it's going to emit a burst of arc energy. This is not the greatest. It does do a little extra damage. It does help, like if thralls are running up at you, it'll just kind of, you know, burst and kind of, you know, delay them from hitting you or whatever. But the main thing is you gain a powerful overshield while performing your finisher. This is going to be really good because if you're running into a highly dense area, you can just jump in, don't have to worry about dying. You can proc that finisher and you're going to get this powerful overshield, which will obviously generate ammo for your teammates. It is very, very nice, and I would 100% recommend you all running this mod if you are playing into your Aeon Gauntlets. Now, another thing I like to run is also Striking Light. So this is going to make it when I'm charged with light, if I defeat a combatant with a melee or a sword, it's going to spawn or overpower. I will be getting a lot of melees with this build, so this is going to be nice for spawning more orbs for our teammates. But again, the main thing is you're going to gain damage resistance against combatants while sprinting. The way these mods work is if you have a arc affinity mod in your armor, it will proc the second perk, or if you are running double arc charge light mods, it will proc the second perk. And since Reactive Pulse and Striking Light are arc elemental charge light mods, this is actually going to proc the second perk. So now when I sprint, I'm going to gain a damage resistance, so I can sprint up to the champion, I take less damage, I finish the champion, I get an overshield. Pretty plain and simple, and you can just for sure secure that finisher to get ammo for your teammates. Now, a fun mod I like to run specifically with this build is Swift Charge. This is going to let me get charged light, which obviously will let me generate orbs and do Reactive Pulse. But the main thing is, again, the second perk. So now defeat combatants with a pulse rifle, it grants a chance to spawn special ammo for your allies. So since I'm going to be running the battler almost all the time, unless I have to swap it out for something, literally I'm also now going to be spawning extra special ammo with that, which is really, really good. Now my Aeons are spawning ammo and my pulse rifle is spawning ammo. That is extremely nice. And on top of that, you're also becoming charged with light, which will play into your other supportive base mods. Now I am also running Radiant Light, so this is going to make it when I cast a super, allies become charged with light. I am getting plus 20 strength, which is one of the huge benefits from it. But since you are playing well Warlock, being able to cast super and make your teammates charge with light, if they are playing into charge with light based mods, that is also going to be extremely strong. It's going to make you even more supportive, and getting that plus 20 strength is just very, very nice. And finally, I am running a Taken Charge, so this is going to let me become charged light and pick up orbs of power. This is again going to play into making orbs for my teammates and activating Reactive Pulse a lot whenever you need it for a survivability situation. But the cool thing is you can change this out to something like Supreme Wellmaker, so when I cast your super, you're going to spawn 3 stasis elemental wells. This is extremely good if your teammates are playing a stasis subclass with Phantomite. They can run like 4 Phantomites with the elemental tom dilation. You're going to spawn 3 stasis elemental wells when you pop your super, so now they're in the well, get a damage bonus, and they pick those stasis elemental wells up immediately and have like 30 seconds of a Phantomite damage decrease. It is extremely strong for DPS scenarios, but you do have to have pretty much all your other teammates running stasis, but obviously that's a little bit hard to coordinate, so that's why that is there if you want to swap to it. But Taking Charge is always just going to be nice. Now for other mods, I am running a Harmonic Siphon, so I generate orbs power and defeat enemies with my elemental weapons that match my subclass type. Obviously the battler is solar, so Dawnblade, we're going to be spawning orbs everywhere, which will play into Taking Charge so I can get charged light. I did have 1 point left over, so I just threw Bottomless Bounty on so I could increase my Hot Swap perk. So Hot Swap is the Origin trait on the battler, so I can just swap to it faster if I need to. I do run Pulse Rifle Reloader and Unstoppable Pulse Rifle, just, you know, obviously for champions and getting the reload speed up. But again, you can change this out to whatever you want to, for whatever champion or element you need. I am running a bunch of damage resistance. I have an arc resistance and concussive dampener, and since this is an artifice armor, I do have thermostrike plating. I would recommend just taking thermal shock plating, probably concussive dampener if you want to, if you don't have enough energy like this. But this is what I'm running on my artifice armor. And I'm also going to be running invigoration and absolution. So whenever I pick up orbs up, I'm going to get more melee energy, which means more radiant for me and my teammates, and absolution, so I just get a bunch of ability energy back all the time when I pick orbs. You're going to be making orbs all the time with this build, so this is going to be very, very nice for that. And you don't really need to run scavengers with this build, since you already going to have your other teammate running an Aeon Gauntlet, so you have infinite heavy ammo everywhere. If you do want to run a scavenger to make it a little bit easier, you could, but you definitely do not have to. Then finally, I would recommend running 2 utility kickstart, so whenever you throw your rift down, you're going to get about 20% of your rift energy back. So this means you could have more healing rifts, obviously for you and your teammates to survive a little bit longer. And it is just overall just a very, very tanky, very, very supportive, very, very survivability and generating ammo base build. I know that was a lot of words I just said, but I really hope you all enjoyed this. If you were confused on why people are running Aeons and just how good they are and how honestly they're almost mandatory in some situations, I really hope this video helped you out. And if you needed a build to play around the Aeons, I hope this also helps you out. Like I said, you can run this on every single class. You can run this exact build on every class as well. It doesn't have to just be on the Warlock. I just like to run this with the Warlock because you have your healing grenades that are very powerful, and you can just keep your teammates alive alongside with your healing rift. But if you guys would like to try this build out, I will have a dim link to it in the description below. And if you guys did enjoy, you want to see more content just like this, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you like, join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough. Every single bit of support from y'all is truly appreciated. But thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.